I love you.
Well, ladies, men, and gentlefolk all, light 'em if you've got 'em, because today we're returning to the Disney playlist for Alice in Wonderland. And I gotta tell you, I really wish we had some of the beautiful splendor of Gorsh with us when we were watching this, because the drugs on that planet would have made this movie so much more enlightening.
Oh, I see.
But the drugs of Earth, or should I say alcohol?
Yeah.
Of Earth is it was suitable for the viewing experience.
I see. All right, so you did not do this sober, which I mean, there's a big tradition, I think, of this particular story and non-soberness. Definitely. Yeah. So you went for tradition.
I feel like the only time I've ever watched this movie sober was as a kid, and even then I guess I was kind of high on sugar. So like,
you were high on sugar.
It was still pretty trippy then.
I don't know, dude. This movie might be the reason why, as a child, I had such a hard time grasping what reality was. It is a pretty twisty movie. And honestly, dude, I don't know. It took me until I was like 13 years old for me to be like, you know what? The shit I do has consequences in this very real world. And the shit that goes on in my head doesn't matter to these other people.
And that's why you joined theater.
And yeah. It was a little bit longer after that. Yeah, I had to get comfortable with the fact that this world is real before I could go back to pretending. So. But we got there.
But yeah, the shit with Alice in Wonderland, I'm the green traveler from Gorsh. I haven't established that. I just talked about Gorshian drugs, which are amazing. And
100% legal there.
Yeah. Which is why I was just drinking while watching Alice in Wonderland. Right. And I wasn't doing any kind of Gorshian drugs, that's for damn sure. God, I missed them.
I was sober.
It feels wrong to watch this movie sober. Like, I can't.
That should be against the law.
Yeah, but it's just like once you get in Alice and once you get into Wonderland itself, if I'm anywhere near sober, I'm just like, this is a glum adventure.
I think it would be honestly harder to follow watching it sober. And I was lying. I wasn't sober. I mean,
come on.
Anyhow, it's a fun movie, but god damn, those non-existent transitions, man, they really get you.
It's really amazing how they structure this whole dreamscape, which, let's just talk about it. It's based on the novel by Lewis Carroll.
Right.
I read it as a kid and I didn't get it. I think I enjoyed it, but I was just like, yeah, that was funny, but I didn't understand anything I had read.
There were so many strange things.
Yeah.
How peculiar.
I read it again as a teenager, and even then I was just like, I think I'm still not quite understanding all of the symbolism and the meaning of all this. I don't know. And I've tried to read through the Looking Glass, but I've never really gotten too far.
I think maybe this symbolism you are mentioning that you're not getting, maybe it's not all there. I think, a lot of people read this story and really infer a lot of what Lewis Carroll was trying to say. He definitely plays with sayings of the era, like Mad Hatter and March Hare and stuff like that. He definitely plays with stuff going on in what was the precursor to psychology in that era. But I think that he really was just trying to write this story that would entertain this little girl that he was interested in. Which is kind of weird. But that's the story I've heard anyways.
Yeah, I've never really looked into it. I just enjoy the atmosphere of this story because it's so just wild. It's bizarre. Mm-hmm. And it's fun to be immersed in. Going back to it, with the exclusion of Johnny Depp's that Mad Hatter movie. I'm not really a huge fan of that.
Yeah, I think I like what he did. In the first movie. There was other things in that movie that took the movie down for me, but there's some really good things in that movie though too.
When you say first movie, does that mean they made 2 of them?
Yeah, they did Through the Looking Glass. I don't know if it's anything like what the Through the Looking Glass novel is like, but it's something. Oh my god, man!
Oh wait, which one does the Jabberwocky or the dance thing happen? Is that the second one?
That's the first one. I don't think you've seen the first one.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't seem like I have that because I don't remember it. I mean, I also don't really remember much of the first one. I just don't like Johnny Depp as the Mad Hatter. What
they did, it wasn't. He made some interesting choices. Like, he's not gonna go for. He never goes for the first thing that you would think. At least, that's how he used to be, and then all of his roles kind of seem to collide into the same thing, which I don't know. I guess since we brought him up, I guess recently they're saying that his wife was lying about everything she was talking about, and he was pretty much slandered. I don't know.
I mean, I still, I don't know about that whole situation. It flip-flops every month what that story is.
Sure.
And so I'm like, I'm no longer like really following it. I'm just kind of hearing about it from occasionally and being like, right. He still plays the exact same character in all of his roles.
He does. Ever since Sparrow, he does.
With the exclusion of that Black Mass movie. I think that's what's called. Black Mass.
I did not see that. I did not see. I think it. Is it
I brought this
Black Mass or White Mass? I think it might be Black Mass.
I brought it up before. And I was like, I don't remember what the movie is. I'll look it up later. Never looked it up later. Well,
I think you're right. I think it is called Black Mass, but he's playing Whitey Bulger.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
He has the ability to be an amazing fucking actor. It's just
he is an amazing
the director
actor.
just wants that goofiness. Like, his Mad Hatter felt just like, can you be like Edward Scissorhands, but also Willy Wonka, and just mash them together? And he's like, that was about it. That's what I'm looking for.
That's a very interesting Johnny Depp impersonation. Yeah. Okay, so this is our review on Johnny Depp, but
sorry, Disney.
I do think, we will get back to this actual movie. All right, so we did kind of actually in my house, we did watch the Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland directly after watching Alice in Wonderland, pretty much.
Oof.
Not necessarily my choice, and I think I stepped out for a good chunk of the movie because I had just watched it recently. I do think that Johnny Depp makes very interesting choices in that movie when he's doing the storytelling. So I feel like it's kind of hard to pick up on the first watch, but on the subsequent watches, he has, I think, 4 distinct different characters for the Mad Hatter when he's doing different when he's talking about different parts of his life or ignoring different parts of his life. It's honestly pretty interesting to watch, and they do some things with the computer animation with his eyes to add to those characters that he's portraying. And that is a little bit weird, a little bit off-putting, but it is Wonderland. It's a little weird and off-putting. So I think it honestly works.
That's fair.
But I also was with you that first time I had watched the movie. I thought it was a very strange performance.
Well, I mean, also the first time I watched it, I was already kind of feeling just drained on the Tim Burton, Johnny Depp I was just kind of bored with it.
Yeah, just over and over again.
It's the same thing like whenever Adam Sandler puts out another movie with all of his friends. And we've seen it, man. Like, I'm glad you're having a good time with your friends, but it's nice. It's nice that you're keeping them all hired and having a great time, but I'm fucking bored with it.
Yeah. But Ed Wynn, that is one hell of a performance as a Mad Hatter in this here animated movie.
Ed Wynn, right. I thought you were cutting across to Ed Wood. He does. I was like, he does know it's Ed Wood, right? Not Ed Wynn.
Yeah, he was good in that movie. But we're talking I think we should shift back to this movie. that is
why
kind
is that
I do
what
feel like
Is
why?
that what we're talking about? Is that what we're talking about today?
We're talking about Alice in Wonderland,
Where's our seamless transitions?
1950. I don't know, 1951 rather. And this movie is great. I think this does the job of really getting what it feels like to be in Wonderland better than that Tim Burton movie does. And I think it has to do with the bleeding transitions. Things just fucking happen in this movie. And like you can see them coming just barely. And it's so strange. It's so off-putting.
I always love not to throw you out. I always love the things just happen in this movie. It's like that always. I hear that so often with. I say that a lot too, and it's just
That's
like
true.
That is just kind of what happens in every movie.
That is fair.
That is fair. Things do just occur. But like what you mean is like you're following one scene, and then suddenly, as you're in that scene, something else emerges, and then you just follow that. It's just like, it's like two paths just cross, and then you just go down the next path, and you're just like, yeah, sure, I'll take a left here. And it's
exactly.
And it gets weirder, and the colors get like crazy and vivid, and it's just, I don't know, it becomes super fucking trippy.
Oh, definitely. Let me do just like try to do a quick synopsis. I mean, it's a short movie, so I think like the basic plot points I can nail in like 2 sentences. Alice, being taught by her governess, sees a white rabbit and chases after it and dives into its rabbit hole, which leads to Wonderland. She's trying to find the white rabbit in Wonderland and eventually comes to the court of the Red Queen, where she gets into trouble for doing nothing wrong and almost gets murdered. That's the synopsis of the movie.
But here's the problem is, like, that's all I remembered from it as a child.
Right.
Was precisely that, and those are the bookends.
Yeah,
everything that happens in between, it's just like it's a bunch of short stories in between.
Yes, definitely.
Which I'm sure again is all for entertainment and craziness, but like it's like I feel like there is a deeper meaning there when you read it. Like I feel like there has to be.
Yeah, that's what I mean. A lot of people infer that the different characters represent different mental disorders, which is interesting and fair.
I've always loved that idea.
I do like that idea, but honestly, I think that it's equally as fun just to sit back and watch these interesting, strange stories.
Oh, yeah.
I think he just drank a lot of absinthe. That's all.
I love me. I've had a few good absinthe nights.
I've never partook myself. So, what was your favorite little, like, I don't know, what do you want to call them? They're little scenes, vignettes? Little stories. Yeah, vignettes, that's right.
He figured out how to do these, I've already forgotten the word, whatever they were called in the war era.
Package films? Yeah,
package
it
films,
is.
Exactly.
It's a secret package film. Oh my god.
Yeah, kind of. And he's been wanting to do Alice in Wonderland for forever. I think I read that like in the 1920s, one of his first animations was like a ripoff of Alice in Wonderland. He's been trying to make this a feature film. Like that was his first idea was for Disney ever. Was he wanted to do Alice in Wonderland as their first feature, but then they're like, no, Snow White, and he's like, yeah, Snow White. And then, like, now he's finally come to this passion project, and I don't know, like, all the little vignettes are just great. It feels like there's so much, like, care put into each little piece.
Right.
It's hard to choose one, even though because a lot of them I do forget already. Because, again, I was, I imbibed a little bit beforehand. I don't, and not all of it rings forever in my mind, and it's hard to remember all of the little vignettes, but
I think I said earlier, this movie, honestly, I think would be just as hard to follow sober.
Yeah.
So,
but my favorite characters, and I guess what my favorite vignettes are anything to do with the Cheshire Cat, who is amazingly voiced by Sterling Holloway, who is Winnie the Pooh. I don't know if you picked up on that. Winnie the Pooh is the Cheshire Cat, and there's a reason like his characters are my favorite. He has such a beautiful voice. Like, I love his
He
voice.
it is a very interesting voice for certain, and it's very soothing in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like sneakily so. Like,
yeah,
you should.
especially as the Cheshire Cat. He does a very
Yeah.
good job of being like, "Hey, I've got your attention now. You know I have your attention.
Right.
Haven't you noticed that I'm not all there myself?" That's good stuff.
Just as he's fading into the background, except for his smile. He's beautiful and creepy, and I love him. One of my favorite characters of Disney that we have seen so far. Like, to this point, I would put him easily, at least in the top 2. I'm struggling to think of all Disney characters, but I love the Cheshire Cat.
Right.
But the other character I really enjoy in this movie, aside from Alice, is the caterpillar.
Yeah, you got like the caterpillar. Richard Hayden plays the caterpillar, and
so
he's blowing smoke letters at her.
Isn't he Alan Rickman in the Tim Burton one?
Yeah, he is Alan Rickman in the Tim Burton one.
Ah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I honestly think I like Alan Rickman's better. I
don't remember it enough.
I think I like the scene better with the caterpillar in this animated version because it's funny. Where his is kind of more serious and just like, I don't know what's going on. It's like where the it feels like in that Alice in Wonderland movie that it went from being a hallucinogenic dream to a opium dream, and
right.
it's very strange. Like the mood shifts in that movie are very strange. Not that they aren't in this one, but we also, I think, someone who's worth mentioning. Well, of course, we got Catherine Beaumont. I believe that's how you say her name, is Alice. But the person I did want to mention
was Wendy.
She was Wendy. Oh wow.
Okay. Yeah, and Peter Pan. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, we'll talk about her.
I guess
she does a perfectly good job. Alice is a perfect vehicle. She is the straight man in this absurd comedy. Absurd comedy. Like, all these other people get to bounce off of Alice, and it's great.
Yeah.
But some really good voices come from Pat O'Malley. He does Tweedledee and Tweedledum, but he also does the Walrus and the Carpenter in the story that they tell. And they're completely different voices. It's crazy.
Yeah. It is great voice work. Like, I will agree there. But that's one of the areas where I do kind of tune out because I don't know. It's just that the whole Tweedledee Tweedledum scene. Like, I kind of that scene's all gone.
That's okay. So I really enjoy the Walrus and the Carpenters scene because it's kind of, and I think it's in couplet. I'm not entirely sure, but it's some kind of verse, and they're telling the story and. The Walrus and the Carpenter, they find some baby oysters and they lead them out of the sea, and then they're going to eat them. And the Walrus asks for the Carpenter to make some sauce for the oysters, but while he's away making the sauce, he eats all of them. And that's the story.
And like, I feel like it's for me. I feel like a lot too. There's a lot of things that it's just like I noticed these things that are like we've cut out a lot of the uhs and that kind of stuff. We're working on it, but we're replacing them with other phrases now.
Sure, I mean we still have to stall.
yeah. But I know I feel like, you say anyhow, and but. I like the butts. I can see it on the audio way coming up because it kind of looks like a butt because it's like big bump, little bump, big bump, and I'm just like, there's a butt. But anyways,
that one I didn't know about. I did know about anyhow.
But
all right. So.
I even forgot what I was talking about when I started that. I don't remember where I was leading from there.
I don't know. We were talking about the Walrus and the Carpenter, but I don't know.
Oh, right. It's an OCD issue for me because if I'm reading the book and if that's in the book, that's fine. I can take a small side story and enjoy that while reading because I'm going to be with that book for a long time. when I'm in a 2-hour movie and this isn't a 2-hour movie, it's an hour and 18 minutes, but when I'm in a movie and I'm following one storyline, even though Alice in Wonderland is all kind of jumbled and going all crazy and stuff, completely cutting away from Alice to follow this other random story that's being told to us by Tweedledee Tweedledum, I don't know, it just throws me for a loop. And maybe it's because
I
I'm
understand that.
Not sober, but still. That's a moment where I just kind of like get lost, and I'm just like, oh, okay, I don't remember what's going on, and finally Alice is back and we're good.
The main story that Alice in Wonderland leads to is her meeting the Queen and angering her. But it's honestly not my favorite part. It's just the most impactful part.
That's staying in the edit.
especially the painting the roses red. Like, painting the roses red obviously sticks with you. It's a good number. It's really the one number that I can recall. I'm late for a very important date. That's the other one. But I don't remember any of the other numbers.
Yeah, I can't think of any off the top of my head either. I feel like the Mad Hatter and
Very Merry on Birthday. One. That's the one that repeats. Yeah. That's the one that gets the most reprises, but it doesn't stick with me like Painting the Roses Red for some reason. Maybe because of what happens to the cards.
Yeah, that might be it. That might be it. The repercussions are severe.
Yeah. I
also like the Mad Hatter and the March Hare, but it's just they do become a bit annoying. So I think that's another reason why we don't remember their song immediately, is because after a while it's kind of like, all right, guys. Even though I love their characters, I just shove them away. It's like,
it's just the chorus over and over again. That's all it is.
Right.
I don't remember if there's any verses to that song. Yeah, anyhow, I don't know what else to talk about this movie. I feel like it is a story that people know pretty well. It's really popular nowadays because of that Tim Burton movie. But also, like, pop culture just loves to use these characters, like, especially in the comic books that we read. I just talked about Batwoman, where she's Alice. The main villain is portraying herself as Alice from Wonderland. Right. It's fucking everywhere.
Right, and the DC Comics themselves have a villain called the Mad Hatter, who controls people with telepathic hats.
Yeah,
believe it or not, he designs hats that let him control people. It's a great mythos. Like, there's so much built to it that it's just, I don't know if Lewis Carroll intended to build such a crazy big world. He just accidentally kind of did so. And it's so much fun to be immersed in.
It is really fun. You can just turn your brain off and enjoy it. Trying to dissect it is a little bit against the point. I do, in my heart of heart, my feeling place, have the inkling that Lewis Carroll wrote this just for the nonsense. I don't think he had really the intention of displaying psychological disorders like everyone tries to say. But I think it's an interesting
He fucked with exercise. The masses before John Lennon did. Which one was it?
The Walrus?
I am the Walrus. They're like, this will fuck with them. I am the Eggman.
Exactly.
Cuckoo, indeed.
I don't think, maybe after he sold some copies and decided to write Through the Looking Glass or whatever, maybe he was putting more thought into it. But I think initially he was just being an absurdist. Yeah. I think that's it. And I think that's all the more that you really need to look into this to enjoy it.
That's fair. So I feel like if you are the OCD type that likes to latch onto these kind of things and build something off of it, there's a reason so many people love to incorporate Alice in Wonderland into their their own personal mythos. And it's just because there's a lot of good building blocks, and you can take with
there really are. There really are. And I think that I appreciate people's interpretations, especially when they make their own fiction with it. I think that's great. And then if you want to throw that symbolism on top of it because you're building onto that mythos, I appreciate that. I just think, like, if you're looking at the OG story, I don't think that all that is there. It's like going into So in undergrad, they had us take this comprehensive writing course, right? And
Right.
they
Right.
they had us watch The Dark Knight, and that's a good choice. And they're like, okay, now you need to pick a scene and dissect it. And it was a lot of fun. And I threw on a whole lot of bullshit onto it, and maybe like 11% the artist was intending for that to be what was transcribed upon my soul. But artists, as an artist, you do put a lot of thought into it, but you don't know what your audience is going to infer from it. I do think it's very interesting that people have come up with all these thoughts for it, but I just don't think that was the artist's reasoning.
No, not every artist does perfect every single thing, but I do think there's a lot of great building blocks for great mythos here. And just to lead that into my closing statement, like, it's just an absolutely fun, absurd world with great animation around it. Like, it's fun to just get lost into it. But I do only give it 3.5 stars.
3.5?
Yeah, mainly because I feel like there is some kind of so you know how in Doctor Who, if you see the silence, when you're no longer seeing them, you just kind of forget it. And you're just like, oh yeah, like, I don't remember what happened. Yeah, it's whatever.
Sure.
I think there's a moment like that in this movie.
Is that what these marks on my arm are for?
That's exactly. You mark your arm because you think you see the silence, and you got to remember that you've seen them. And I think that's what we got going on in this movie, because I feel like every time I walk away, there's shit I'm forgetting, and I think there was some government message. Part.
Yeah,
I think there's a secret hidden message in this film. Disney slipped something in, and they put a silence in there from the Doctor Who stuffs. Yeah, it takes away 0.5 star because it gets 4 stars. I'm just fucking with you. It gets 4.
You think it's get 4 stars? Wow. I mean, it's definitely a full-face movie for me. It's a good fucking movie. I don't know. I get more out of other interpretations of Alice in Wonderland than this one. Though there is just some great stuff that you can't beat. Yeah. And it is one hell of an adaptation of the story. It's probably one of the best Disney adaptations, as being getting the soul of the story into a movie, I think.
Yeah, because it just feels like a crazy ass dream. That's what's great about it, is you watch this whole thing and I bet this is a dream. This is just too crazy, but and it's not really capturing, you're not really enraptured by what's going on. But you are interested because you kind of do like Alice. Just she's fun. Right. She's adorable. And the characters she's meeting are all great. And while there's not really much underneath it, no drive for her really, other than just keep going. I don't know, the fact that they made this whole movie that just feels like pieced together vignettes because of all these bleeding transitions, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is very well done.
This is the kind of movie that really does just shut the kids up.
Sure.
There's movies like that, like Moana and all those other movies that they have a good message that keep the kids entertained and they're taken by the story. This is just so fucking trippy that I think it just blows kids' minds. And they're just sitting there what?
What just happened, Mom?
And then you can turn the TV off and they're just staring at dead space for 3 hours, and you're just that's good.
Hey kids, let's watch the Batman, and then the Penguin comes up and he's just twirling the thing, and it's just that for 30 minutes.
It's just a never-ending gif of just
Beautiful. Oh shit. Well, I have to say, the dream ending, which has become quite the cliche. You can't really even do it anymore. I mean, really, that's Dallas's fault. Let's call it as we see it. But anyway, I feel like that ending kind of takes it down a peg. So that's why I wouldn't call it a 1.5 movie.
Right.
Even though I do love this movie, but I think I love other Disney movies more. But this is very, very well done. Highly recommend. Go watch this fucking movie.
I like it because the whole thing feels like a dream, so it just makes sense.
It does.
Like when it happens, when it happens, it's just like that is satisfying. That is exactly what I expected to happen. She's learned through her own subconscious. It's kind of fun. Like whereas with Twin Peaks, how it all feels dreamlike.
Well, I haven't finished Twin Peaks, so
We haven't finished it yet.
no,
How
and
far
there's
have
a
we
third
gotten?
season. Have you seen
Yeah,
the
that
third
is true.
season?
I haven't seen the third season. That's true. But man, I thought we got.
Okay, no, we watched the first season, and then you were like, okay, if you want to watch the second season, you're on your own. And then I never watched it.
Man, why would I do that to you? Fuck me, man. Oh, maybe it was because it was taking us too long because we were living at different houses at that point, weren't we?
No, we were still at Regency.
Man, I'm a fuck.
I don't remember actually. We were watching it really slow though. I think you had just finished watching it like over the summer. I think that was probably the deal.
Yeah, it is kind of a hard one to, unless you're like super into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Alice in Wonderland, I enjoyed that the dream ending here, and they didn't make it impossible to use. Like I think it's what's that soap opera Dallas, where it's like Who Shot JR or whatever. That it's just like
something like that. Yeah, it's like a whole season ruined.
You wait like a whole year, you go through the whole season, it's just like, it was all a dream. It's just like, well, fuck you guys.
What the fuck?
How dare you?
Didn't matter at all.
See, fuck
you guys.
That seems like it would feel like a ripoff and bullshit. Here with Alice, it just kind of felt like that was what we were building up to, and it was satisfying. Yeah,
I can agree with that. I just feel like it was a little bit cheapened, but I don't know how the ending is in the book. Maybe that's the ending of the book. I can't tell you. I guess that's our show.
Hell yeah, it is. I have been the Green Traveler.
And I am and always will be Faceless and Leone at the same time. Some would say the safe travels and good night. Green and Faceless on the Couch is a proud production of Fiction Works 19. If you like the show, please show your support by rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. Like, follow, subscribe, wherever you might listen. We also now have a Patreon account. If you feel so inclined to support us in a financial manner, please become a patron by visiting patreon.com/greenandfaceless. You can also find more information about us on our Facebook account or on the Fiction Works 19 Instagram account. Thank you so much for listening.